The elevator doors slid open to the top floor of Glasstec Industries, a skyscraper of glass and ambition. It was almost midnight, and the city lights shimmered below like scattered stars. CEO of the most powerful women in the country stepped out with her heels echoing sharply across the marble floor. She was exhausted, but her mind was still on her daughter Emma, a quiet, 15-year-old girl who'd been struggling in math. Victoria had missed dinner again. Guilt tugged at her heart, so she decided to surprise Emma at the office. Her daughter often came there after school to wait until her mother finished work, but when she reached the study lounge near the maintenance hallway, she froze. There was sitting cross-legged on the floor the man was in his 60s, gray hair, worn uniform, calloused hands. He sat patiently beside Emma, holding a small whiteboard and explaining something with calm precision. Emma's eyes were focused, her face lit with understanding. Victoria's first instinct was shock and a little anger. "What on earth?" she muttered under her breath. She straightened her posture, ready to demand an explanation. But then she paused. Through the small crack in the door, she saw something she hadn't seen in months, her daughter laughing softly as she solved an equation. The janitor clapped his hands quietly, whispering, "See, you did it. You're smarter than you think." Victoria hesitated, hand frozen on the doorknob. Something about the tenderness in that old man's voice stopped her cold. She waited until they finished. Only then did she step in, her heels clicking on the tile. Emma looked up, startled. "Mum." The janitor stood immediately, wiping his hands nervously on his uniform. I'm sorry, Mum. I didn't mean." Victoria raised a hand. "What's going on here?" Emma spoke quickly. "Mum, he's been helping me with math after school. I didn't want to bother you, and he offered to teach me." Victoria blinked. "You've been learning from the janitor?" The Mr. Lewis's face reddened. "Ma'am, I just wanted to help. I used to be a math teacher before." "Well, before things changed." Emma's voice softened. "He's amazing, Mom. I actually understand things now." There was silence. For a moment, Victoria's polished CEO image clashed with the humble reality in front of her. A powerful woman in a $1,000 suit standing across from a man who scrubbed her floors, teaching her daughter what she couldn't. "Why are you cleaning floors?" she finally asked him, curious despite herself. Mr. Lewis hesitated. "My wife got sick years ago. I had to take care of her full-time. The medical bills took everything. By the time she passed, I was too old to get another teaching job. So I do what I can. This place pays the bills." Victoria swallowed hard. There was no self-pity in his voice, just quiet dignity. Something inside her shifted. The next day, she called Mr. Lewis to her office. He looked uneasy standing in front of the vast glass desk. "Am I in trouble, ma'am?" Victoria smiled gently. "Quite the opposite. I spoke to HR this morning. We're opening a new after-hours learning program for the children of employees. I'd like you to run it." He blinked in disbelief. "Run it? But I'm just a janitor." "Not anymore," she said. "You're a teacher again." The tears welled in his eyes. He tried to speak but couldn't. Later that evening, as Emma packed her school books, she asked, "Mom, why did you do that?" Victoria smiled softly. "Because he reminded me what success really means. It's not just about titles or money. It's about lifting people up when they think they've fallen too far." A month passed. The little after-hours class became the heart of the company. Employees' kids came to learn, laugh, and believe in themselves. All because one janitor cared enough to help a struggling girl with her homework. One afternoon, Victoria found Emma sitting in the same corner again. But this time, she was the one tutoring a younger child. Her mother smiled, tears brimming. Sometimes the most valuable lessons in life don't come from boardrooms or business schools. They come from compassion, from seeing people not for what they do, but for who they are. And that night, as Victoria locked her office, she whispered a silent thank you to the janitor who reminded her of that truth. Months turned into a year, and the quiet initiative that began in a dusty maintenance hallway had transformed Glasstec Industries in ways no corporate strategy ever could. Every Friday evening, after the last office lights dimmed, the company's grand conference room filled with laughter, curiosity, and the scratch of pencils. Mr. Lewis, now respectfully called by everyone, stood at the front, explaining equations with the same enthusiasm he once had in classrooms decades ago. He wasn't just teaching math anymore. He was teaching children of programmers, receptionists, cleaners, and even senior managers sat side by side, sharing stories, solving problems and, without realizing it, breaking invisible walls of class and status that had quietly existed inside the company. Victoria often stood near the doorway during those sessions, watching the room come alive. She didn't interfere, didn't give orders. She simply watched. Because every time she saw her daughter helping another child or saw Mr. Lewis' face light up as a student understood something new, she was reminded of a truth she had long forgotten. One particular evening, the local news caught wind of the story. A reporter showed up to do a short feature on Glasstek's community classroom. The segment aired the following week and went viral. People across the country were moved. Messages poured in from single mothers, retired teachers, and students who said the story made them believe in kindness again. Soon, other companies began to copy the idea. Within months, after-hours learning hubs were popping up in cities across the nation. When a journalist later asked Victoria why she started the program, she smiled and said, "Sure, because one janitor reminded me that a title doesn't define your worth, your heart does." The company's board of directors, initially skeptical about a non-profitable program, changed their tone quickly when they saw what it did for the company's culture. Employee satisfaction soared, absenteeism dropped, and for the first time in years, Glasstek felt like more than a workplace. It felt like a but the most beautiful change wasn't corporate, it was personal. One quiet Sunday morning, Victoria and Emma visited a small park downtown. Mr. Lewis was sitting on a bench reading an old, worn-out book. When he saw them, he smiled warmly. Victoria handed him a neatly folded envelope. "This is from all of us," she said. Inside was a letter and a check, enough to help him finally retire comfortably, along with an invitation to stay on as